But before we even get going on that, I would just like to thank some of the people that made this possible. First of all, I just want to thank the members of the Hall of Fame committee. Jason Brazzali, if he's here, Tracy Budworth, Jason Canfield, Mr. Josh Figge, Veronica Ford, Deb Hunter, Mr. Ryan, Chris Sampson, Matt Smith, and Yvonne Zarnstorf. I got to say it right, and I'm sorry. So I just like to thank them. We'll give them a quick round of applause and stand and be recognized. And there's a whole list of others I'm going to thank right now too as well. Patak's IGA for the wonderful food. Mr. Mike Patak was around earlier. I don't see him now. He might have just walked out. The guy is always working. He's just a hard-working man. We want to thank the good people at Trophies Plus. And I know this because I eat at Patak's every day at school. It's amazing. Larry M., the Prescott High School Student Council, all the wonderful students walking around as servers tonight. They are all members of our student council. I think they deserve a huge round of applause. The Prescott High School Garage Band and the members, we've thanked them already. Mr. Canfield for organizing our Garage Band members. The Pierce County Journal for advertising this event and doing different publications as far as the inductees and other information for the Hall of Fame process. They help us immensely. I'm going to really hurt this name, and I apologize. Mindy I can get, but Tronier? Tronier. Okay. Sorry, Mindy, I apologize. But thank you for all that you do. Also want to thank the School District of Prescott, the school board, and our administration. Mr. Figge and Mr. Smith are here tonight. I want to thank them for their support for this Hall of Fame and everything that it represents. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Miss Yvonne.
Most people Good evening. My name is Yvonne Zarnstorf, but most people in the school district knows me as Miss Z. So no wonder he can't do Zarnstorf very well. But this is a wonderful initiative that was initiated by Jeff Ryan in the winter of 2014 and 2015. He was interested in having the Prescott School District recognize alumni and others who have made a significant contribution to Prescott School District and the community of Prescott. Jeff contacted 42 communities and schools in 14 states that were of the similar size to Prescott and inquired about their Hall of Fame organizations. Each group that responded to Jeff's inquiry emphasized creating different categories for those nominated, along with creating objective scoring rubrics. Well, in Prescott, we decided that the categories for nominations should be service, extracurricular achievement, and achievement. So every 2 years, nominations are taken for the Hall of Fame. A nomination form, which is found on the district website, is filled out, along with at least 2 letters of support to complete that application. Each nomination form is independently reviewed by each person on the 12-person committee and given a score based on the rubric for that category. The 2 or 3 candidates with the highest scores are then inducted to the Prescott Hall of Fame. The Prescott Hall of Fame committee would like to recognize Jeff Ryan for following through on his idea to form the Prescott Hall of Fame, and also Roger Hulney for being such a staunch supporter during the initial stages and his continued support of the Prescott Hall of Fame. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to recognize the members of the Prescott Hall of Fame who are here tonight. So we have Nick Johnson. Could you stand up, please? Mike Patak is also an inductee from years ago. He's busy still. Dallas Eggers is here. So Brandy Barron's family is here also. Brady, yep, right over there. Richard Hoffman, Phyllis is here. Richard was also one. And then Ryan Berg is here also. Congratulations. Thanks for coming and supporting us. So we're coming back to Jeremy.
And now for the important part, our first inductee, Lonnie Larson. Lonnie was a class of 1976 alumnus. He has spent a lifetime growing businesses that have made an impact all over the world. I would tell you more, but out of respect to him and Mr. Swanson, I'm going to leave that part up to them because there's just so much. It was unbelievable to see the nomination for Lonnie. In recognition of his achievements in the financial services industry and his success as an entrepreneur all over the world, we would like to celebrate the career of Mr. Lonnie Larson by inducting him into the Prescott Hall of Fame. Please welcome Mr. Dave Swanson as he introduces Mr. Lonnie Larson.
Well, while I'm getting my notes ready here, I want my wife to notice that I ate an entire meal tonight with gravy and didn't spill any of it on my shirt. Yeah. Thanks, Jeremy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Swanson, friend of Lonnie's, and 50 years ago, this year, we were classmates here at Prescott. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. And it was a pleasure to nominate Lonnie Larson to the Prescott Hall of Fame. I've been to a few of these ceremonies over the years, and as usual, the Hall of Fame committee has done a wonderful job tonight. Lonnie is a self-made businessman, entrepreneur, who is 50% owner and CEO of DNS Financial. Armed with the education that he received here at Prescott and a lot of determination, he was able to build DNS Financial into a global company. I was fortunate enough to be employed by DNS for a short time during 2006. I saw firsthand how Lonnie interacted with his employees and how he ran his company. Lonnie created a very positive work environment, and everyone who worked there was doing their best to make the company as successful as possible. Lonnie is a natural leader who led by example, and everyone saw it. Lonnie traveled the world extensively, maintaining current client relationships as well as meeting and acquiring new clients. At one point during his career, Lonnie was among the top 5% of all air travelers in the world. With Lonnie representing DNS, they were able to land some of the largest companies in the world. DNS began with 4 employees, a handful of clients in Austin, Texas. DNS grew to 400 employees with offices in Romania, Brazil, Argentina, South Africa, India, and Singapore. DNS was doing business in 193 countries, managing more than 500 million in customer inventory annually. This made DNS one of the largest companies of its kind in the United States. DNS was sold in 2022. Lonnie remained on with the company for a year during the transition. Lonnie and his wife Karen currently reside in Georgetown, Texas, just outside of Austin, where they own and operate 4 Anytime Fitness franchises. I would like to congratulate Lonnie on becoming the newest member of the Prescott Hall of Fame. Thank you.
There you go. You did just wonderful.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yep.
First of all, I want to congratulate Marcia, Lindseth and Des Gagnier for their contributions as well, well-deserved in the Hall of Fame. I want to thank again very much Jeff Ryan for his help and support in building this organization the way it is today. All those that are participating in it, this is really impressive. I didn't know what to expect. I haven't been in a Prescott function for a while, and I knew that there was a new high school. I was pretty excited to see it, but this is very, very nice. So much appreciated. People who came here, and visitors who came and flew and drove in to see me, I so much appreciate that as well. Dave Swanson for nominating me. It was kind of a nervous kind of situation. Hopefully I'd be worthy of such an honor, and it means a great deal to me. So with that, I don't want to take up too much time here, but I want to give a little bit of my story, what happened, because it wasn't the easiest road in the world, but I got there. And the thing that really helped me through it all was what I learned right here in this town. So my story begins at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. I was going to become a photographer for National Geographic if it killed me. I wanted to travel the world and I wanted to take pictures. That's what I wanted to do. So with that, I got into travel school as well, and they had an advertisement for Pan Am flight around the world for $999. Why not? I got my backpack and I went out for 3 months and saw the world, and it absolutely instilled in me the want to see the rest of the world and to do something more about it. So with that, came back, everything was kind of settled in, and I had a friend of mine come up and say, let's get into business here in town in the bar business. Some of you know that story, but it didn't last long, and it didn't end well. I have to admit, a lot of you know the story. But what I learned in those lessons from that experience took me the rest of my life to really understand and really appreciate for what happened in the future from that standpoint forward. So now I needed a job. Karen was working for Associated Bureaus in West St. Paul. It was a collection company for consumer debt. And I went up there and I figured a couple months and I'd be out of there. Got involved. We were starting to have a family. We all know we have a big family. And we had to pay the bills. So what I did is I stuck it out. I saw a vacuum in the management there, and I thought maybe I could find a way to get to a good position there and support us. Along the way, I met a couple of fantastic people who you hear come back up in my discussion. One of those, Tammy Campbell, was here, who's worked with me for 40 years on different companies. Incredible. Sorry about that. The other was someone who became my business partner and my adopted brother, Keith Peterson, who's Jackie, his wife, is here with us as well. So I really, really appreciate that. So I get this job in a bill collection company. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? We started working very hard. And we found out that credit cards were easier to work from than hospital bills. And so we kind of carved our career up there. Well, I got a call from a gentleman, we'll call him Fred, okay, because he'll come up again. And he wanted me to expand his business in Minnesota from New Jersey. Everything went going fine, got some people to come on board, and something wasn't right. We found out he didn't quite take care of financial things very well, and we were stuck in a position. We had to do something, we had to be quick on our feet here. And so what happened was he took his part of his business and he ran with it, and we were able to carve a business for ourselves. It was called Triad. The problem was we were desperate. We were trying to keep our jobs, keeping our other people's jobs in line, and we got venture capital. If anybody know what venture capital is, it's like the true meaning of sharks. And it was brutal. It was a brutal, brutal, brutal situation, but we survived, and that was the key thing. When that kind of all ended, I was back at home, and Karen's wondering what am I going to do next, because there was no longer a job, and we had like 5 kids now. We had to do something different. Well, we went to South Carolina, packed up our bags and went there to follow a man's dreams to build an organization in South Carolina. And that went very well. Well, what happened was, it's the same gentleman, Fred, who didn't run financials very well, found this great job. And he called me up and said, I've got the perfect solution for you. It's the best job there is in the country, and it's in Maryland. So I had to go back to Karen and say, let's take our family and move to Maryland. A little impatience at this time, but we had to do it. So we went there, and this is where it really started kicking off. It was called NCO, it was the largest of its kind, and I got to be the vice president of the commercial division, and we took off. It went very, very well. Another person's name you heard before was Keith Peterson. He started an agency in Texas, DNS, and that's what this is mainly about. And he said, come on board. And I said, where are you at? He said, Texas. And I said, no, thank you. And he kept after me. Best salesman there is in the world. And he kept after me until I finally said, you know what? Maybe we could get this thing to go. And so we started with little or nothing, like Dave was explaining, and we started to grow. Well, Keith gave me the right to have my own sandbox and run with it. He just wanted to do his thing, and he let me do the company. First thing I had to do was find people. And the problem I had in Austin was that there was not a whole lot of people in the call center in Austin. It was high tech, it was government, but it wasn't call center. So I thought, okay, what I'll do then is I'll see if I can do an off-site network. Let people work from home. We know that very common right now, but 25 years ago, it was totally unheard of. But it made sense. It made total common sense to do this. So we kicked it off. And we had to get through state licensing. We had to have some change amendments to their state statutes, whatever it was, to get people to be able to work from home. Well, I gathered the best people there were. All across the country, border to border, we started to grow. Things started really happening. Second step, I had to get process and procedure. As we all know, bill collections, right? The first thing you think about is, oh my gosh, these horrible people calling me. I wanted to change that. So instead of just calling people and demanding, we got financial facts and helped people through the situation by negotiation. It changed our business completely. And people knew what we're doing. And it really became a nice, softer business. That kicked us off. Well, we had that process down, and then we needed technology. Met a gentleman who was looking for a job across the street, came over just to see what we were all about, and I hired him. And he became our IT guru. He was still around today, works with me in other businesses, and he's absolutely a genius in the business. So we had the three components. The last thing we had to do was just continue building our client base, which happened, and we started growing very, very rapidly. Well, if you have an off-site network, if you have the technology, if you have all these good things, why can't you go international? Other companies do it. I've heard about a lot of them. So we took off and went global. And that was very much sought after as far as companies go, but everybody said it would never work, will fail, the whole thing will come to an end. Well, it kicked off, and we became a global entity, and it went very, very well. The last thing, probably when the zenith of the company came around, was when Dell, one of our longest clients, said they were going to have a global, international, whatever you want to call it, innovation award, and they were taking applicants from the highest level companies around the world. I'm talking robotics and whatever else. Well, this person that I brought on board for IT, his name was Aaron Bostic. He developed a program where Dell could have parts returned and brought back to a person and delivered in such a way, and all tracked on an AP situation that would really change their world. It's still used today. So any part that is received or delivered at your home from Dell is still on programs that we put together at DNS. Well, that won the award. And so we became now a financial technology company. Now we are on a different place. And this is where it all changed. And for me, being a little town person, Midwest guy, in Prescott, Wisconsin, our company became globally known. It was moving at a pace I had no idea even how to handle. And it kept growing and growing. Well, when that happens, other people want to look at you very closely and buy you. And so in 2022, we did sell. And we sold it, and they're a pretty good company. They're taken to different places right now, but the platform they used is what we had developed a long time ago. So that's kind of what took me to this place. Now I'm retired. And of course, Karen's got to put up with me being retired and nothing to do. And I had to get busy. And I was a fitness fanatic. And my trainer at the time said, well, go buy a gym. And then, okay, I looked at him and found a franchise I really liked, Anytime franchise. And I opened one with a plan to make it my hobby. And then one came for sale in Waco, and then I decided to build a third one in Liberty Hill. There's a fourth one planned for Georgetown, so I can't help myself. It's just not a very good retiree. But what's really interesting about this whole thing, and we had this tremendous, wonderful experience as far as success, but you know, the things that you learn from this town are unending. First thing is how to deal with people, all right? You're a small town. You can't hide. The good, the bad, the indifferent. I'm looking at a group of people here I've known most of my life. I know the good things that happen to you, and I know the bad things that happen to you, as well with me, right? So that helped me build teams, that helped me understand, that helped me be non-judgmental about anybody I ran into. And then where the real Harvard education came in, I bartended in downtown Prescott. If you want to know people and how to deal with people, just bartend down there a little bit. But it helps you understand. It's true. It really made it possible for me. So the whole thing about the hard work, the ethics of Prescott in the Midwest, which are known the world over, seriously, about being able to deal with people, about all those kind of things that meant something, all came right back to here. My love of travel started with Frau Schubert in the German class. First ones to go to Germany. It was just exciting, and she really kind of crossed some bridges to make that happen. I remember my debates with in school, for the teachers that involved. Remember the things we did, the people we had to work with. It all came down to really how to handle a company in a growing stage. And here's the most important thing. When you're dealing in a business of this size, when you're going global, and you're dealing with, let's say, Brazil, for example, where corruption is like an everyday thing, you have to depend on your ethics and your morals to make it through. People have to trust you. They have to know that you're doing the right thing. This little town gives you that. It makes you be part of that. And we're all really taking this important town as an important task to take you through life. And it did for me. So Karen and I never stopped calling this home. We've been back and forth every year, once or twice a year. We're still diehard Packer fans. We are, and in fact, one quick story is that we were filling up with gas, and of course Karen put a Green Bay Packer thing on our license plates. The guy came up to me, started giving me a hard time. What are you doing in Texas if you're a Green Bay Packer fan? And of course, right away we said, let's see what the Cowboys do this year. And he walked away. I don't know. But overall, I mean, I'm one of the most appreciative of this honor. I really, really thank everybody that's been involved in this. It's been just a joy for me to come back and forth and call this home. We've rented just about everything that's B&B here in town and all the motel rooms. We really call this home. We really feel it's part of it. And again, the success is due to the people I worked with and really the upbringing I had. So again, I'm so thankful. Really appreciate it all. Everybody else, have a great night. Thanks.
Wow, how can I follow that? Great job. Well, we have our next inductee, and it's Marcia Lindseth. Now, when I moved here 30 years ago, which I can't believe it's 30 years already, I had heard about this Marcia Lindseth and didn't know who she was. Well, I have found out through the 30 years. I'm honored to introduce Mandy Bernick, who has lived in Prescott for 23 years. She has worked for the school district and has been an active member of Joy Lutheran. And that's where she met and has worked with Marcia Lindseth quite a bit. Mandy is the one who wanted to do the application for Marcia, and we are proud to induct Marcia Lindseth into the Prescott Hall of Fame. And Mandy, could you come on up and help us out?
I'm such a sappy person, and I know I'm going to start crying, but I'm going to try not to. I'll be proud of myself. So I'm very honored to be here on Marcia's behalf. Sorry. All the veterans know I always cried at Veterans Day too, so it's all right. Okay, so again, I am Mandy Bernick, and I met Marcia 24 years ago in the fall of 2001 when I was hired here in Prescott to be the third high school social studies teacher. It's hard to believe that this is my 25th year here teaching in Prescott. More remarkable that I'm still the little sister to Jeff and Rob. Marcia's role for the school district was curriculum director when I began teaching here. She would meet with the 6th through 12th grade social studies team on professional development days. From the first time I met her, I knew she was kind, intelligent, and a forward thinker. Marcia would give all educators across the district monthly articles to read about the latest trends in education. And I have to admit, I did not always take time to read them. However, I appreciated Marcia's willingness and her growth mindset by encouraging us to bring change into our daily routine and strive to be better. It wasn't until my second and third years of teaching that I really got to know Marcia. Sean and I had moved to Prescott and started attending Joy Lutheran Church. Pretty soon, Marcia was everywhere. We know it, people, we know it. It's not an exaggeration. And don't make eye contact. To quote Joy Church friend Hope Olson, Marcia is committed to the total Prescott community through her connections to the school district, to the Kiwanis organization, now the Prescott Community Club, to the Gathering Place, to Joy Lutheran, and the Prescott Area Church Association. So if you know Marcia, it should be no surprise that I nominated her for the Prescott Hall of Fame. Her DOK, or depth of knowledge, runs deep. Marcia and her sidekick, Marv, have lived in Prescott for over 40 years. Between the two of them, I have thought, is there anything they cannot do? I could talk for 3 hours about the adventures Marcia and Marv have been on, but you can chat with them after. The first word that comes to mind when I think of Marcia is curious. It was no surprise to me when I learned her first major was sociology. Marcia's love of learning, reading, friendliness, and social intelligence brought her on a career path in education. Marcia worked with gifted and talented students, special education students. She worked as a reading specialist and eventually as a principal. To quote Marcia's oldest son, Eric, Marcia was an educational pioneer, learning and applying the latest practices and approaches long before she applied these same techniques in Prescott. Marcia was hired by Prescott Superintendent Bernie Lepley in 1983 to be Malone Elementary's principal. Such a feat of accomplishment this was. Marcia was the first female administrator in the history of the school district. We all leave footprints along our path in life. But Marcia's footprints happened to be a little deeper than others. Marcia started the Malone Parent Committee. She began the school library. She hired the first guidance counselor, and we know, Kurg, how important that is. Marcia was not only leaving footprints, she was a bridge builder. Retired Malone Elementary teacher and family friend, Pat Erickson, shared this about Marcia. She built a bridge between home, community, and school. She felt children could not learn without the involvement of their families and their communities. She always showed appreciation to the parents and the community for contributing to a student's success. To help students enjoy their success at Malone, Marcia, who has a passion for music, especially singing and playing the piano, wrote a song most of you should be familiar with. So please join me. Malone Elementary, we're especially extraordinary. We work so very hard to be the best that we can be. So as I stated earlier, I could spend 3 hours talking and probably still crying about Marcia and all the good she has done for the Prescott community and Joy Lutheran Church over the past 40 years. However, Jeff gave me 3 minutes and my speech was over 4 before all the crying. Marcia Lindseth worked throughout her life to overcome gender roles as a female administrator. Marcia continues to give of her time to others at Joy Lutheran Church. Uncounted minutes of time, talent, have been given to the Prescott community by Marcia Lindseth. Marcia's legacy is not just the Malone Elementary School song that we sing, or the work she has done for Joy in the Prescott community. It is the passion she has brought to teaching, which inspired others to be the best that they can be. Thank you, Marcia.
we induct you, Marcia Lindseth, into the Prescott Hall of Fame. And congratulations. Do you want me to put this down on the table?
You are an impressive group of people. So nice to see you, and thank you for being here, all of you, to take the time to recognize the three of us who've done our part, we hope, to make the community a better place. It's with gratitude and joy that I stand before this esteemed audience of friends, colleagues, the Hall of Fame board, the colleagues and friends who nominated me for this significant honor, Mandy Bernick, Pat Erickson, and Hope Olson, my fellow awardees, Dennis, Lonnie, and not least of all, my family, who I would like to introduce to you now. I would like them to stand as I introduce them. First, my husband and life partner of 63 years. Marv, who has enabled much of what I've done to accomplish in my adult life. I could not have done it at all without him. Together, we were blessed with 3 children. Eric, a 1988 graduate of Prescott High School, and now general counsel for Lifetime Fitness. And I think is that a competitor with Anytime? Yeah, thought so. Oh. And his lovely wife, Kristen. Stand, Kristen, please. A native of Chicago and an English teacher at Edina High School. Great partner, member of our family. And Kristen's mother, Phyllis, also a teacher from Chicago, but who recently moved to the Twin Cities, and we're happy that you did, Phyllis. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Eric and Kristen's son. He's our oldest grandchild, Owen. Owen is a senior at the University of Minnesota, which incidentally is my alma mater. So I'm very proud of him there, and we thank you for coming. I'm sure you could find maybe more interesting things to do tonight. Eric and Kristen's daughter, A, is a sophomore at the University of Puget Sound out in Washington, and it's just a little too far for her to come, so she couldn't join us this evening. But I'd also like to introduce Kristen's mother, originally from Chicago, who now lives here in Minneapolis, Phyllis, also a teacher. Teaching runs deep in our family. Next, I'd like to introduce our son, Matthew. Matthew also attended Prescott schools. He now lives and works as an accomplished special education teacher in Port Orchard, Washington, which is near Seattle. And he lives there with his wife, Jerry, and 2 sons, Brady, who's 15 years old, and Evan, who is 13. And they couldn't come because this is homecoming in their high school, and they're doing several other things. And they have their priorities right. And finally, we come to our daughter, Anna. brought her own cheering section here, I see. Anna graduated in 2001 from Prescott High School after making a few hundred baskets for the girls' Prescott High School basketball team under the direction of Jeff Ryan, incidentally. She went on to college at California Lutheran College, where she also played basketball for 4 years and enjoyed lots of bright sun and no wintry snow. Her daughter is here. Oh, I should say, Anna's a project manager for Meta. Do you call it corporation or company? Anything. Meta. You all know Meta. And she's a project manager for them. She brought her daughter and our youngest grandchild, Monroe. She's now in 5th grade and a talented ballet dancer. They live in Boulder, Colorado, where they both enjoy skiing, and now she wants to be in snow. Go figure. Thank you, family. You have truly, truly enriched my life. I have indeed had a very special life. I grew up in Montana with parents who themselves believed in being of service to other people. And by their example and their indeed, they instilled that ethic into me and my 2 sisters. Along the way, I received many opportunities that not all people have access to. I tried not to take advantage of my privilege, but to share it with others and make the outcomes good and significant for all people, including children. I loved working with the children of this community, and I appreciated all the school staff that I worked with for 15 years, both as an elementary principal and the district's curriculum director. Being a teacher or any ancillary staff member in a school district is not an easy job. But I saw daily, for all those years, the care, concern, and compassion that the teachers and other staff members had for the children of this community. And as I look out into this large audience, I see many of you here tonight, my colleagues who I had the privilege to work with. And I would ask you to stand and acknowledge our gratitude for your service and your part in my memorable award tonight. Please, all of you that have worked with me in these schools, please stand and acknowledge it. My kind of work you don't do alone, and it's with these people, some who are represented here tonight, that it makes it possible for us to do a work for which we get an award. But behind it are all these people. I also want to acknowledge the other administrators with whom I worked. I'm grateful for all they did to help me become a better administrator. Bernie Lepley, Dick Hoffman, both of whom are already in the Hall of Fame, and rightly so. Dick Balliet, Carol Lehman, and Roger Holdney. And I thank you for their input and their help to take somebody who hadn't had any experience and take a chance on her and say, yes, we'll hire you. And it turned out well, I hope. I know for me, and I hope for you in this community. I also try to be of service in my church and other community organizations. Again, I'm heartened to see truly how many people do care and work for the best interests of our community. my friends and colleagues at the Senior Gathering Place, the Prescott Community Club, the Building and All-Inclusive Community Group, the Prescott Area Churches Association, the Lions Club, the VFW, American Legion. A lot of people in this community believe in service, and they show it by a lot of work and effort. And for that, we should all be very grateful to live in this kind of a community. In closing, I'd like to share with you a poem that I've come to know and appreciate. It's called The Dash, and it was written by Linda Ellis. Maybe some of you know this poem, but it's very meaningful for me. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent on earth. And now, only those who love them know what that little time is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So, when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? This point makes the point well expressed in this quote by Winston Churchill. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Thank you to all in this room, my family, my friends, my colleagues, the Hall of Fame board, and others for acknowledging my gifts of service with this special award. I very much appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Wow. Mrs. Lindseth, you just said it wrong. I'm like half crying. I will say this. If there is a human being Hall of Fame, you belong in it. I get to serve with you on the Prescott Community Club, and you are a wonderful, wonderful human being. Our final inductee for tonight, kind of a little more personal to me as well. before these glasses, and before blindness became an objective statement in my life, I actually used to umpire baseball. But when the ump is blind becomes an objective statement, you should retire from umpiring baseball. In my career, I'm a bit of an outsider here. I've only spent 5 years working in the school. This is my 5th year working in the school district, but I spent a lot of time here. Dave Vorthams used to call me up and asked me if I want to umpire some baseball down here, and myself and a gentleman named Jerry Cognetta used to get in the car and drive over here, or my brother or somebody. And the one thing we always said yes to is that we were going to drive to probably one of, if not the most beautiful baseball fields in western Wisconsin. And of course, Prescott is, as you can see, folks sitting over here, is very much a baseball town. And of course, 2 years ago, we got to induct Mr. Block into the Hall of Fame, who was a baseball coach, and someday we'll induct Mr. Ryan into the Hall of Fame. And when we run out of other people to induct, we'll get to him. But, sorry, I just kind of slipped. I went off topic a little bit. Anyway, I just really want to just say that it is unbelievable the times we have crossed paths and probably didn't even know it. I would love to, it is my honor to induct Mr. Dennis Gagnier into the Prescott Hall of Fame for all his work that he has done to help this community be the best baseball community in western Wisconsin, if not the whole state. So thank you, Dennis, for all your work. And with that said, please welcome Dallas Eggers as he will introduce Mr. Dennis Gagnier.
Thank you. Always kind of interesting to come in here. I helped build the building. It's still beautiful. I walk in here and it changes. We had this beautiful presentation room. And so we did a good thing here, folks. We really did. And we fought some battles to get here, but you sit in our achievements. So thank you all for coming. Dennis Gagnier. I met him a little over 20 years ago. Didn't really meet him. I saw him on baseball fields. I had my team down practicing on a JV field, which was an advertising for dental replacement. The bad hops were deadly, so every once in a while I would sneak into the big field and bring my young kids to play on Fire Hall Field. And I'd see this guy. Didn't know him really because I worked late, didn't get back in town, most of the games were over. But when my own son entered 8th grade, that's when I really met Dennis. He was always there, at every game, and always willing to help him pretty much any way he could. And so a friendship started. And Dennis seemed to always believe that all the kids, boys and girls, were his kids. And if you're a teacher and you don't think that, you shouldn't be in the occupation. I spent more and more time at Fire Hall Field. My partner was usually Dennis. Weed whipping, fertilizing, fixing, painting, putzing, and cleaning. Dennis and I spent innumerable hours there over the last 20 years. I backed out about 3 years ago, and thanks to the young guys who have taken over, they still maintain, and Dennis is right there. Dennis was there today for 3 to 4 hours working on field redevelopment day today, and he's going to need a nap tonight. Some of this led to some long conversations on a wide variety of topics and some history lessons for me. Dennis was always interested in everyone doing well. Seldom a discouraging word. My association with Dennis even smoothed out some of my own edges. I found out he was always part of getting things done for the betterment of other people, serving on various township boards, county boards, or whatever. It always takes someone with the guts to do the difficult jobs. and Dennis was one of them. He was the county commissioner, he was a township board member, he was an assessor. How'd you like that job? There was an assessor in Prescott, his name was Earl Leesman. He was the undertaker and the assessor, and they said, here comes death and taxes. And so it continued. Dennis always helped where he could. Didn't matter. He's been an active member of many local organizations, the Lions Club, the Knights of Columbus, and the Cab Company. Cab Company, crazy about baseball. Pretty much. Hundreds and hundreds of hours has he put in and donated to you and our community. I wonder how much he and his family have donated financially. Wouldn't want to look. Wouldn't want to look, but thank you much. He was also Wisconsin Baseball Coach Association Volunteer of the Year 5 or 6 years ago, well deserved. And he was also an unusual person in the military. He was Ike Eisenhower's security guard at the White House. That's an honor. That's an honor. Plus it led to some really good stories. Usually with Dennis, his main tools were a welcoming smile and a look of concern. How can I help? He always found out where he could help. He's a role model to make the whole thing a better place. What could he do to help others? Well, coming from a background of an orphanage was the hand Dennis was dealt. He was fortunate to have people who cared about him to guide him into manhood. The St. Joseph's Orphanage showed him the light that can be brought into darkness. He continued to view his religion as a mission to help those in need in this every single day. Humility was his strength and his calling card. There were no debts. There was no score. A modern day Good Samaritan. I would like to thank his wife Dorothy and his children Paulette and Stephen for allowing him to spread his love, goodwill, and hard work with all of us. Thank you. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Dennis Gagnier to the Prescott Hall of Fame.
Let's get you looking at it. All right. Let's go just like that. All right, thank you so much.
Well, first of all, I'm not a speaker, and this is the first time I've ever been in front of an audience. So I just give you a little history of how time began. It was 1939, and my dad was a window washer in downtown St. Paul. He had just turned 30 on October 1st, 1939. And he went out and bought a brand new safety belt, and of course the belt broke, and he fell 4 stories. So things kind of changed in your life then, to kind of change it a little bit. It was years later when my daughter and I were walking downtown St. Paul, and I had her stop. It was on 4th and Wabasha. And I told her this is where her grandfather died. But from then on, I was placed in St. Joseph's Orphanage. My mother, I won't go into that, had really some hard times, but at the orphanage, there were 60 boys and about 55 girls and 20-some infants there. The orphanage was up on Randolph Avenue in St. Paul. It was 1 block from Cretin High School. So at the orphanage, the nuns there were exceptional. They taught us how to play hockey, how to play baseball, and everything, and even piano. But anyway, from there I got lucky, and being a block away, I got to go to Cretin High School. I thought I was going to play football, but when I got to high school, I was this size, and 4 years later, I was still this size. So I ended up playing baseball, and that's how I got involved with baseball. And from there, you stay at the orphanage till about your 8th grade, and then they place you in a home. And the home I was placed in was out in Mendota Heights. The nicest people I've ever lived with. I lived there till I got married. But the farm was out in Mendota. It was about 8 miles or so away. So after chores, we had 39 cows, and they all had to be milked, and things had to be cleaned up. So then, and if you know Cretin High School, back in those days, it was just all boys. It was strictly a military school. So we all got a military uniform, and that's what you had to wear all 4 years, all day long. So it was pretty easy. After chores, I got on the highway there, and I stuck my thumb out. And at that time, if you had a uniform on, right at the Korean War and all that, they stopped and you got a ride right away. There was no bus service, nothing like that. And so after 4 years of high school, it was a big military parade and all that, and everybody's standing there and that. And all of a sudden, they call my name. And I thought, well, what do I do now, you know? So anyway, I found out that for 4 years, I was the only person that never missed a day or was ever late. And I lived the furthest. So from there on, things, you just progress along. And like everybody else, that was the time when everybody we got drafted. There was a draft thing going on, and it was this 6-year commitment, and so I got drafted like everybody else, and I was down in going to basic training down in Georgia, and they put me in the school for supply school. So one day it was raining, and there was about 500-600 of us all sitting in attention out there. And they called my name and told me to report to headquarters. Well, I kind of wondered, okay, what do I do now? So I get there, and there was a gentleman from Washington there, and he said I had been selected for a job in Washington. He couldn't tell me what it was at the time, but if I passed all the clearances, why, I'd be on my way to Washington. Well, I quickly checked back home, and I found out there was two FBI agents went to the school. They went to the church, and they went to where I was working, and it seems like everything worked out pretty good. So anyway, after a couple of weeks, I was on my way to Washington. So I get there, and a gentleman meets me right at the train there, and they take me up and says, okay, here's where you're going to live. I was right off of DuPont Circle on Massachusetts Avenue. It was about 4 blocks from the White House. So, but the next day I had to get to the White House, and they explained everything that, okay, here's your job. Even though I got the credentials and they issued me a sidearm, the sidearm, I put it in a box and I never even took it out. Well, even though I was with the Secret Service, my job was to pick up supplies. So all the other guys, they were on 12-hour shifts and 7 days a week. So my job was to pick up supplies, and all I had to do was be 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I had a nice little pickup. So that was a nice, easy job. So, but anyway, I just ended up, after my service there, I ended up going back home, and I ended up, like most guys, you find the love of your life, and things worked out really well, and we bought a farm out here in Prescott. It was about 2 miles out of town here, And I just got involved with baseball, and they explained that to you pretty well. And so that's the story of my life, and I appreciate the honor that they have bestowed on me tonight. So other than that, I hate to talk because after a while, it gets kind of long. So I thank you.
Congratulations. Once again, just want to say congratulations to all three inductees, and what a wonderful evening it's been listening to your stories and you know what got you to this point. Before we proceed, I would just like to remind everyone that there is a reception at the American Legion after this. You're welcome. Anyone's welcome to come. Also remember that this Hall of Fame requires nominees. And so if you know people in the community, I'm kind of looking to my left as gentlemen and people that I know grew up here and lived here. We strongly recommend nominating people for this honor. Please look to the website. I believe there's a QR code on the on tonight's program. If you know of somebody who would really be an honorable recipient of being in our Hall of Fame. Next, we will proceed to the beautiful Hall of Fame wall, which is located on the other side of the Commons here, right next to the gymnasium, where we will reveal this year's inductees, where they will be forever bestowed on the Hall of Fame wall. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your support of Prescott School and Prescott community.